I've been thinking a lot about why we are business owners, the impact, the fulfillment, the ability to create the financial life we want, and the freedom. That last one, freedom. That's what I want to talk about with you today because I've seen it time and time again with my clients. You built the business, got the success you thought you wanted, but the freedom you started your business to have seems just out of reach. Something that you find yourself chasing each and every day. Welcome to the Biz Doctor Podcast, my love letter to business owners the world over. I'm your host, Lauren Goldstein, award-winning business consultant and advisor fondly nicknamed the Biz Doctor by my clients. I help business owners who are burning the candle at both ends diagnose what is actually keeping them buried in the day-to-day busy work, and then formulate a treatment plan to adjust their business and team to fit them, so they can take a breath and a vacation and have more fun making a bigger impact than ever. So grab your favorite beverage and your earbuds and let's dive into our latest episode. Today, I'm going to give you the key to your freedom. After doing this work for 14 years, I believe I've cracked the code, the freedom formula that will get you successfully out of operator and into owner, so you can have more fun, more flexibility, more profitability, and breathe that big, beautiful sigh of relief with the freedom you started your business to have. Now, before I give you the exact formula, I want to share that your freedom lies at the intersection of these three things. Your Super Bowl team. Do you have the right team for you, for now and your next level? And more importantly, is everyone in the right seat and clear on their roles and responsibilities? By the way, if you want to dive deeper into this one, listen back to episode 86, Creating a More Autonomous and Successful Team. Second, effective leadership. It is one thing to be able to get results for yourself, but as you've heard me say before, the number one job of a leader is to create other leaders. And on the other side of that same coin is mastering the art of getting results from others. Lastly, we've got identity and vision. This last one is the toughest. It is the ability to separate your sense of value, purpose, and worth from your business. Because, spoiler alert, if you don't do this, when we extricate you from the things that are preventing you from having the freedom you want, or you decide to sell, your 3 pounds of spicy meatloaf between your ears is going to subconsciously sabotage you and keep you stuck on that hamster wheel. Plus, if you don't know where you're going, how can you possibly get there? So here's the equation. Freedom equals P plus P plus P times V, all to the square root of C. Now, I'm going to go over each component of this in a minute, but before I do, I want to illustrate exactly where we are going and the key differences between being an operator and an owner. So first and foremost, we have the mindset. Operators, their mindset is this business needs me to function. Owners, however, want the business to run and grow without them. Operators are chief doers, involved in most operations and decisions, whereas owners are chief visionaries, focused on growth, vision, and leadership. Operators tend to spend time putting out fires and managing tasks, where owners spend time on strategic planning and high-level decisions. Now, when it comes to decision-making, operators are often reactive, making last-minute decisions or so far in the weeds, whereas owners are more proactive, structured, and base their decisions on long-term vision. The team dynamic of an operator is where the team relies heavily on them for answers and approvals. Whereas owners, your team is empowered, roles are clear, accountability and systems are in place. Now, when it comes to operators, the biggest growth limiter is them. They are the bottleneck. Very few things or people can move forward without them. Whereas with owners, the business has systems and leaders who drive growth independent of the owner. When it comes to freedom and capacity, operators are constantly busy with little time for creative thinking or personal life. Owners, however, have space, creative capacity, and personal freedom. When it comes to revenue and profit, operators chase top-line revenue, often at the expense of bandwidth or margin, whereas owners prioritize profitable, scalable, sustainable growth aligned with their long-term vision and goals. Now, when it comes to dependency, businesses are heavily dependent on operators. But with owners, the business can thrive and evolve without their daily involvement. The exit potential for operators is low. It's just too dependent on that person. But owners, the exit potential is high because the business is a self-sustaining asset with a transferable value. So I know that the chasm between operator and owner can seem vast, but it really comes down to the little shifts every day that will help you bridge and transition through that gap. And so now that you know what that transition looks like across the board, let's take it one step further and start with the end in mind, your vision. The reason I know that this is so important is because if you're like most business owners, you started your business, started delivering your services to your clients, and never looked back. And because of the breakneck speed you were running at towards success, that also means that you probably have never stopped to catch your breath and ask yourself, why am I doing all of this? What is my vision for my life and business now that I have reached success? So that is where I want to take a moment and really dive in with you. I want you to take a deep breath. And if you can, and you aren't listening to this while driving or operating heavy machinery, close your eyes. Now I want you to ask yourself this question. And the wording here is very important. If I could have it all my way, what does freedom actually mean for me in this next season of my business? I want you to think about what is your vision for your life and business in the next 12 months. Is it time, creative space, a bigger impact, an exit plan, different delegation? How about a vacation without stress? Or I don't know, all of the above. As you think about this, I want you to reflect on what would you change in your calendar? What do your ideal days and weeks look like? What would your role in the business look like? How much time off would you take? How involved are you in the day-to-day? What would your team be doing without you? What would you finally stop doing? What kind of wealth, time, money, energy do you want your business to generate? And here's the kicker. If you sold your business tomorrow, what would you do with your time? Because the truth is, you will exit your business at some point. So let's just make sure it's on your terms and you know where you're going. Now that we have the vision, we get to dig into what each part of this formula means. So again, the formula is freedom equals P plus P plus P times V, all to the square root of C. I'm going to start with C. Because if you've been listening to me for a while, you know that the 7 C's of a high-performing team and business, my framework, the first C is clarity. This is the most important thing. Now that you're clear on your vision, which is a huge part of clarity, I see so many business owners getting stuck because they just haven't taken the time to get clear on where they're going. But now that you have that and you are not one of those business owners, are you clear on who you need? Are you clear on their roles and expectations? Are you clear on what success is? Are you clear on what your metrics are to tell you if you are on track to that future vision? It doesn't take a lot of time to get clear, but you have to be intentional. So I recommend, if you don't know the answers to some of those questions, take some time, get clear. Second, the first P is people. Do you have not only the right butts in the right seats, but do you have the right team for you, not just now, but in this next season? And when I say the right team for you, what I mean is this. Every entrepreneur and business owner is different, which means we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And the best team for you will look different from the best team for me or any other business owner, because ideally you want people around you that are experts at their craft, who you trust, and whose strengths are your weaknesses. I see it a lot actually with my clients where they've inadvertently built a team of people whose weaknesses are the same weaknesses they have. And so it's a little bit like the blind leading the blind. So make sure as you're building the team, not only for now and the future, that you're thinking about where the threats and interdependencies and weaknesses of yourself are so that you can fill in those gaps. And then once you have those people, are they clear on their role, their expectations, the problems they solve, how they fit in the company, and how you're measuring their success? Because if the answer is no, then as Ricky said to Lucy, you got some splaining to do. I've said this so many times. Hopefully it is imprinted on your brain, but unshared expectations are nothing more than premeditated resentments. And this is so true in teams. If you are not communicating clearly with them and setting them up for success, you're doing yourself, your team, and your business a disservice. So if the answer is no to any of those questions, I want you to pause this episode and go to goldenkeypartnership.com/go to get our Golden Key scorecard so you can not only get the most out of your current team, but proactively plan who you need to fill the gaps. It's basically a paint by numbers simple spreadsheet that will take out all the guesswork out of your team and how to get them to be high performing and more autonomous. Trust me, this is a game changer and the roadmap you've been looking for to take you and your team and your business to the next level. The second P is processes. Do you have the operational foundation that is proven, predictable, and efficient? The truth is, structure and simplicity scales, chaos does not. If you look at your business and you don't have policies and procedures, onboarding, SOPs, a tech stack that makes sense that the team uses, then this is your moment to audit your processes. Because if you're stranded on a desert island having a wonderful vacation, your business should be able to run without you. And a lot of that comes down to the foundation of processes and systems that your team relies on. The third P is profitability. Do you know what your profitability levers are? Do you know where and what your concentrated risks are? Do you know where your revenue cliffs are? Lastly, have you done the work to know your numbers and understand your cash flow and reduce bloat in your books? Because here is a spoiler alert. Revenue is a lagging metric. So if you are running your business based on revenue, you're going to be in for probably a not very pleasant surprise in the near future. But if you start looking at running your business from what creates profitability and what levers are responsible for generating revenue, because those are the things you can control, then your business will thrive in ways that you can't imagine and your profitability will really start to grow. And then, of course, the V is vision. We did a little exercise before this, but I want you to come back to this often so you know your destination and can communicate it effectively. Because a lot of times, if your team, your spouse, yourself, if you don't know your vision and you don't know where you're going, it's going to feel like a slog. You're not going to know if you're on track or not. And it's going to be much harder to be a laser and focused on what you need to focus on to get where you want to go. This is a lot of times where I see shiny object syndrome bite some of you guys in the butt because you're more of a flashlight instead of a laser. But if you know that vision, if you know where you're going, it's much easier to say, oh, we're a little off track. Let's get back in vision. So now that you know the formula, it's time to get to work. So I'll leave you with a few of what I call capacity catalysts to give you more time and space now so you can start executing on those different parts of the equation and have the time to really think through them. These are capacity catalysts or business booster shots that you can do right now that will help you create more capacity. So the first is make a list of the 3 things that are causing the biggest friction or frustration in your days, and assign it the proper level of delegation so you can start moving it off your plate. And I just want to take a moment to talk to you about something that I think a lot of business owners don't quite understand. And that is that there is not just one level of delegation. A lot of people think delegating is either I do it or you do it. But there's actually 5 different levels, which I'm not going to go into today. But it ranges from everything from you need somebody just to go do research and then you can make the decision or move something forward to, of course, the fifth level, which is I'm not doing it, you're doing it fully. And Dan Martell, one of my favorite authors, says 80% done by somebody else is 100% awesome. So sometimes the things we need off our plates are the 80% that's really frustrating or friction filled. And then that 20% we don't mind doing. So when you're looking at these three things that are causing the biggest friction or frustration, ask yourself if there's something within that that could be even 50, 60, 70, 80% delegated, and then you can own that 20%. Because a lot of delegation is mastering the art of letting go without losing control. And as business owners, let's be honest, we're a lot of OCD control freaks who love chaos, which is not exactly helpful for our businesses or our teams most of the time. But if you can figure out what that 80% is that you can let go of, and then have that 20% that you really want to have control of, you'll start delegating much more effectively and much faster. The second capacity catalyst that I want to talk about is reworking your calendar. Most often when I start with a new client, this is one of the things we look at is auditing their calendar and looking how they set up their week and asking yourself, how do you want to run your calendar? A lot of times calendars tend to be very sporadic, jam-packed, and there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to it. It's just, I had this space, let's slot something into it. I recommend initiating daily themes, sprinting, and the most capacity changing thing you can do is pick an admin day. I know I talked about this on previous podcast episodes, but if you can start doing admin days, it will revolutionize your business. When I did it, it actually doubled my business, and I've seen similar statistics with all of my clients who do it as well. And honestly, it's just friggin' awesome. What an admin day is a day where you are working on your business, not in your business. So some of my clients get really nervous about doing a whole day, so they start with a few hours. Choose your own adventure here. But this is a day when you are doing things that move your business forward. This is not a day where you're catching up on emails, and in theory, none of your team should be allowed to book meetings with you on this day unless it's directly translated to something moving your business forward. What this allows you to do is have time for deep work that helps you be that visionary owner. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. I cannot recommend this enough. Now, daily themes, I'll just give you a little taste of what this looks like. For me, feel free to use it if you want. Mondays are my meeting days. So it is a jam-packed internal meeting day. So it's when I'm meeting with my one-on-ones, leadership calls, things like that, because it takes a different sort of mindset for me to do internal meetings. And so I like to stack them all in Mondays. Tuesday and Thursdays are client days. So these are days that I'm either delivering services for current clients or I'm having consultation calls with potential clients. Wednesday is my admin day. I love it being in the middle of the week. Friday is what I call Flex Friday. Every other Friday I have completely blocked off. It's a day where I can use it to connect with friends, do networking, maybe I'm traveling, etc. And then on the Fridays it's not blocked off, those are days that are open if I need to have extra client calls or do a diagnostic or CEO strategy session, any number of things. And so that way, my calendar has enough white space that I can fit in the things that I need to prioritize without feeling just super constrained. That's how my daily themes work. I highly recommend you think of what cadence works for your business and your life and give it a try for 30 days. The third thing is eat the frog first thing in the morning. The frog being your biggest, most important task. Often the one that you most likely procrastinated on, but it will generally have the greatest impact. I love this because most of the time, that thing that we've been procrastinating on takes far less time than we thought. Give it a go. Eat that frog. I know it's kind of a gross analogy, but just do it. And then last but not least, look at your personal life. Where do you need more support? This is something that I think is particularly important for those of you that are listening who happen to be women, because sometimes we suck at asking for support. And I say that as somebody who sucks at asking for support. So look at your personal life and what might be supportive for you as a busy business owner, caregiver, wife, all the things. Could it be a house cleaner? Maybe getting a few meals prepped a week? Someone to pop around and run errands? Here's the thing I will say. As a very independent, accomplished, capable woman, just because you can doesn't mean it needs to be you. If you look at your business and your time, and if you've ever done your hourly rate equation, look at how much time you could save by having somebody that truly enjoys these things. Like, don't get me wrong, I actually really love cleaning. I find it to be very cathartic. And I know that the 2 hours that my amazing cleaning lady is here, I could be doing other things to move the business forward. It's not just in your business that you're creating capacity. I want you to look at where you can create capacity across the board. Lastly, my absolute favorite thing to bring more capacity to your team is the 1-3-1 rule. Now, why I love this so much is it pushes issues and problems down to the front line where the people have the most information to solve the problem. So you aren't stuck wasting valuable time trying to get all the info and get caught up. Trust me, I know you've been there where somebody comes to you with a problem and then you spend an hour and a half to 2 hours trying to figure out what the actual problem is and getting all the info and talking to all the people. It sucks. This solves that, because what happens is they come to you with one problem, because let's be honest, a well-defined problem is half solved. They come with 3 viable options that they have considered, and then 1 recommendation. So here's a hot take for you. The more questions you answer for your team, the more you enable your team. I'm sorry if that stung, but that's just the cold hard truth. So if you want more autonomy and critical thinkers in your team, start asking, what do you think we should do? And do the 1-3-1 rule. And because I love giving you guys more than I promised, I'd also like to share the rule of 3, which will change your whole life. So here it is. This is something I do with my team. You can come to upper management and ask me or your senior leaders a question if you've done 3 things. You have Googled, or in today's day and age, ChatGPT'd the question. You have asked somebody else on the team. Or 3, hey, we have a whole knowledge base. Have you checked all of that? If you've done those 3 things and you cannot find the answer to your question, then absolutely come ask me. And then I know that we have a gap in learning somewhere that I can address. And this brings up a good point. If you're noticing your team is coming to you with a lot of questions that you're like, why don't they know the answers to this? That's a really good moment to reflect and say, is this a gap in learning? Is this a gap in training? Is this a gap in critical thinking? And if it is a gap in training or learning or critical thinking for that matter, going back to the root cause and solving that so that you can stop playing whack-a-mole with similar questions. I know that I packed a lot into this episode, so thank you so much for listening in and sticking with me to the end. If anything I shared sparked something in you or resonated, I would love to hear about it and for you to share this episode with your fellow business owners, because one of the things that I am so passionate about is helping business owners shift out of that operator role and into the owner role so that you can have the freedom that you started your business for. Find me on the interwebs and let's connect. Tag or DM me on Instagram at It's Lauren Goldstein or LinkedIn or wherever you hang out online. Please take a moment and also rate and review our show so it shows up to more people who need to hear it. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe so you are the first to get notified when our next episode is live and ready for your ears. Thanks so much for listening. That's all I've got for this week's episode. Until next time. Thank you for listening to the Biz Doctor podcast. Now, I like to say that friends don't let friends WebMD your business. So if you're wondering what your next steps could be, here are some options for you. No matter what, head to the show notes or to my website, goldenkeypartnership.com, for some impactful resources to support you getting out from under your business. That's also where you'll find the links to learn more about our services and how we support business owners, just like you, who are ready to make the successful jump from business operator in the trenches to visionary business owner with more freedom and flexibility. All of that info is on our website, so pop on over to learn more or get in touch. goldenkeypartnership.com. Finally, if you love the Biz Doctor podcast, I'd be so grateful if you would share it with your friends and network and give us a 5-star rating or review wherever you listen to your podcast.
An original from Story Studio Network.